3, 2. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Gamerhouse Marathon. We got some Charlie Murder here by Sindarkfatez. Take it away.
Alrighty, so basically we're just going to pick our character, which we're going to be picking the variation of Lester called the Lich. He is just the fastest character in the game. Right now we're just going to move on towards the normal portal. Simply just set up my inventory for some later tricks throughout the run. Alright, then I'm just going to start the countdown, and it's going to be in 3, 2, 1, go.
So,
alright, thank you. So we're just going to go to the Netherlands, and we're just going to be spamming a bunch of stuff. It doesn't matter if we do kill these enemies as fast as we can, just because it's just a 30-second long segment. But I'm just going to hear you explain, what we're going to be doing. So basically, Charlie Murder is a beat 'em up with RPG elements with some platforming, and we're not going to be really doing a lot of punching and all that. Even though it is a beat 'em up, we're going to be spamming these things called anarchy. I'll explain the majority of them. But the main one we're going to be using for movement is Quicken, as Lester is a pretty slow character. And right now we're simply raising up from the Netherlands. Secretly, we were dead the entire beginning of this game by these people, which are the enemy band, which we shall be facing in the Battle of the Bands. And while they also killed us, they also somehow started a zombie apocalypse for whatever reason. Don't know how. So if we just do Quicken, and we're simply just be doing uppercuts as you do get a slight boost from it. It's going to be our main movement. We are going to be doing that a lot. Now we're simply just go to the next part of the game, which is going to be a bar fight. Simply go down here. Just wait for the cutscene. Just get rid of the enemies, and we simply just set up for the next wave of enemies. Also are gonna have to kill some patrons here, even though we are the good guys, we do just have to kill some people eventually. Now we're just gonna simply do some more running. Alright, so we're in the first vehicle section. Using Quicken actually does affect, the vehicles a bit. It really doesn't affect this scene a lot, so basically we're just going to simply get rid of all the enemies as fast as we can. Most of the time it's just random. We just hope that, they just spawn right in front of us or not out of the spot. That was really good. Now we're moving on to the final wave of enemies we have to get rid of in the highway before we get to the first boss of the game. Just destroy some more. This is what can happen. There we go. Surprising there is no ninja bikes. There they are. And right now, here's the ninja bus, but since we're on the lowest difficulty and we have a maxed out character, we simply just one-shot a lot of the things in this game. And that's going to be the first boss. Now we're going to do some more movement. As our next location, it's going to be a cemetery. And a lot of this, we actually don't have to fight any enemies. Even though you are going to see some, we're just simply going to run past them. We really don't need to fight them to progress. We're going to do a small optimization here by simply jumping before the cutscene fully starts, as you do have a bit of control. We are going to wait for his head to go down. And that's when I like to initiate my run through this part. Usually I'll get hit by one, which is fine. Keep on going, as this is going to be the final part of the cemetery, as it's a pretty quick section. Now we're on to the museum, the Sasquatch Museum. We're simply just going to pass by. It's just a store where you can buy gear and all that. Going to another vehicle section, which is going to be a broom. If you actually do use Quicken, you are able to do a glitch where you're able to just break through the wall here. There is an invisible wall that blocks you from just going fully to the right, which we are just going to use for this first part. Now the rest is going to just be us just killing ninjas and witches, which just, you know, fall from the sky or just come from the sides. And I'm also just going to explain how the gun works. So this is me holding X, or the fire button, and this is me mashing it. There's only a couple weapons in the game that actually do shoot faster in this section if you are mashing. And Lester is just one of the fastest characters to get through this section. This is also just automated because you have to wait until this game just allows you to move on from that part. A lot of it is going to just be us trying to get through this as fast as possible. Just kill. We only need to kill 2 more waves. It's going to be 1 more ninja wave. And after this, it's going to be a mix between the ninjas, the witches, and heli vans. There we go. We're almost done to the second boss, actually, which is a giant Sasquatch, and we're simply just going to get rid of him. And that's it. As right now, we are moving on to the next section of game called Gore Castle, which is a fun theme park for families and all. Simply waiting for the castle to appear. But obviously, since we actually didn't buy any tickets for this amazing theme park, we're simply just going to bust in through the window. They're obviously going to stop us from, you know, entering here, but we shall take care of them. Now we're going to simply just do more setup. Alrighty. Simply move on to one of the few cutscenes we can actually skip for this game. Simply wait for us to get to it. Simply mash Y. All the cutscene basically explains is the motive on why Paul, you know, kills us and all that, and why he's evil and all this, just because, you know, Charlie betrayed him by making a successful band without him. And that's literally his entire backstory. Simply going to go to more automated fights before we actually see another glitch real quick. Let's see, he wasn't on that side. So basically, the reason why I use a specific anarchy for that is basically that enemy, some enemies in this game, you know, they require to be curb stomped after they are on the floor, as they'll just simply keep on getting back up. And so if you use any attack that inflicts any freezing effect on it, basically it skips the need of actually needing to curb stomp them, which can save a bit of time, as curb stomping requires you just to mash X, and it slows down the game a bit. We try to do that as much as possible. There will be a couple more enemies we do use that glitch for. Now we're on to a reference to a movie. We're simply going to use Quicken as we do move a bit faster in this section that we like to call Hawks and Hangers. Simply just going to wait for them, as this is a reference to Birdemic. Not a very good movie. And there are a set number we do need to kill, but the number really doesn't matter. There's also some hawks that spit acid. We're simply just going to try to avoid it, as it is in the same pattern. And the reason why you may see me like face every time I like face backwards is just because this game actually has no invincibility. You can simply just get wombo comboed a lot of the time, especially in this section, because they do have really fast attacks and they're multi-hitting. So a lot of time you just want to avoid it. Simply move on. Simply get to ride this before we get to the third boss. We are just gonna have to wait for the invisible wall to cut before the cutscene happens. Which another reference happens. What is a man? Drops his wine glass for the second time of this game. Here's Phantom Paul. But just as all bosses in the normal run, we're simply just gonna get right by through. Now we just simply have to wait before we can actually move on to the next section of the game. Now we're just going to move on through before another cutscene happens, as Phantom Paul actually wasn't dead. And, you know, we're just simply going to conveniently just stand on, you know, the only trapdoor in this entire castle. This is also going to be leading to the most platform-heavy section of the game, the sewers. which we are going to just try our best to platform. You just want to avoid the shopping carts as it does take a bit to actually destroy them. Now we're simply going to move up here. I didn't move up fully, but it's fine. And then there's going to be other sections where you are going to see some enemies, but we actually don't have to fight them. We'll just simply ignore them. Ooh, alrighty. Now we just do some more jumps real quick. Just ignore more enemies. It's going to be like the final jump of the sewers before it's just more just running. Alright, we are nearing the end. There shall be like 2 more screens left. Now we're just gonna, you know, all platforms just like to break in this game, so that's what's gonna happen. As soon as we stand on there, to the next boss. Well, first we're going to get rid of 2 waves of enemies, so we're just simply just gonna set up by just spamming, you know, Acid Storm and Sarmatas until the boss eventually spawns. I would simply just wait, and that's the Raft boss. Now we simply just do have to wait for the game to get rid of the cleared screen, and we do have to wait a bit for the wall that actually progresses, which we can jump off the raft for a bit. It doesn't save any time, it's just a fun thing I like to do. Wait for another cutscene as we see the enemy band and their heli vans, as all people shall have in this age. We are going to have to get rid of 2 enemies in this section, and that's going to be it. And now the rest of this part is basically just a slow auto-scroller. Even though you can just go off screen like right here, it really doesn't save any time. So I'm just going to basically just be explaining character differences. So characters do have like secret attributes that the game doesn't tell you. Like for this, Lester is one of the fastest throwing characters. And while other characters may just be really slow at it, they may be faster in car sections or other things. And another thing is basically not every character has the same amount of skills. So basically skills can like give you stuff like sprinter, or that you do more damage, or you have more backpack. And basically, you know, first we thought that a character can only be good if they had a certain skill called sprinter. Well, you know, we recently figured out that, you know, if they have quicken, they're able to just basically have the sprinter skill, will just take in the spot of an anarchy. Now we're on a pirate ship. And these pirates are obviously just pirating music, which we should obviously not do. And this section's kind of short. We're simply just going to get rid of 2 waves of enemies over here before we move on to the next boss. There we go. And also, even though I haven't mentioned it yet, I am running this game on 1280 by 720, because actually, for whatever reason, if you do have your settings like this, the cursor for this section moves a lot faster. We figured this out from another runner, where he was playing on like obviously by like 1920 or whatever, and to where his cursor was just moving slow. I don't know why that happens. We're also just killing zombie sharks. They also figured out how to strap bombs onto themselves. Or somebody's going to try to get rid of them as efficiently as we can. There we go. That's the final wave of sharks before we get to the boss, which is going to be called Sea Monster. Simply he's going to put his cursor over his mouth. Now he's going to wait for one of the various pimples, which are randomly spawned. Somebody's going to one-shot him. That's going to be the end of this section. Right now we're obviously going to jump from the boat and simply just make our way. Couple screens are just going to be us just running for a bit. There we go, I did get the good cycle. Here's a skip that we do, just a small optimization instead of just going all the way around and actually making the jump. We're also going to do the freeze glitch again, as these enemies do need to be curb stomped, but we don't want to do that. Now we are going to just be making towards a section This is the fence, as we're simply going to need to throw this baby towards some bottles so he can grab a key for that bulldozer so we can actually get past the gate. We have recently found a way to slightly do this faster, but it's completely RNG if you actually do save time, as you actually can't see what you're doing. For the rest of it, we're simply just not going to do it, as it barely saves any time. We're also I'm just avoiding the bottles right now, just because you do have to wait until the third throw before the actual key that spawns in. So we're simply just going to avoid it, as you do lose a second for every bottle you do grab. Now this shall be the one where we actually try to pay attention to where the bottle is. There it is. Alright, shall be the end. We're simply just going to wait. We do hold up at the end as to where it does limit the distance he does have to jump. It saves like minor time, but it's just a small optimization we do. Now we simply just wait for this cutscene to play before we move on. There's going to be a reference to Pyramid Head here. Now we just need to kill just one wave of enemies before we can move on towards our next location. Which is going to be an asylum, but we're simply just have to get rid of some more enemies real quick. Ooh, okay, that was weird. Alright, here's the Shambling Lunatic. We're also going to do the freeze glitch on him again. You can interrupt his cutscene, I just wasn't prepared for it. Alright, that's the end of Shambling Lunatic. Now we're simply just going to have to wait before we actually move on to the Asylum, because that's obviously where we need to go towards. We can get to the Battle of the Bands. That's basically the only reason why we just go through weird places and do weird things. It's to simply just go to the Battle of the Bands. There's also going to be some parts where we do just slow down. We simply just walk through it. You can't run or anything. There's going to be another part where we just simply just have to run or walk, as we shall see the cause of why we're moving so slow. Simply have to get rid of some more enemies. There we go, there's a rat off screen. Those enemies are not the best, to be honest, just because the rats tend to just often just ignore your attacks and just grab you through a lot of them. Somebody's going to do one more section of just getting some ghost girls, as they do just spawn in the same place. I was going to keep on moving through the asylum. Do another minor skip. Instead of just hitting that lever, we're simply just going to jump over it. Simply just going to do some more jumps. Also, it doesn't really matter how fast you do this section, as for some weird reason you do actually have to wait for the platform to fall. Here's another reference that should be obvious. Somehow we're in a saw trap from that fallen floor. We're in the Venus fly trap, to be specific. Now we just have to do some QTE. Even though, sadly, you cannot die in this part, you can just sit here for like 5 or so minutes and you'll simply just not die. Your character will just be sitting there doing the same animation of you just stabbing your eye out. And that's going to be the end of the asylum. We're simply just going to go through one more room before we're actually out of it. Now, as you can clearly see in the back, it says the Battle of the Bands. That's literally just the entire goal on why we are going to where we're going. We'll be just making little shortcut through this, this supermarket. Not before we go through some outdated memes. So we just keep on running for a bit for a couple of parts of the supermarket before we actually get to some more fighting. So you can clearly see, some of the employees are just slacking on the job, Some of them are just getting nommed on by like zombie children. It's fine. Just a normal day of the supermarket. Alrighty, one more room before we make it to the meat section of the supermarket, and that's where we're going to be doing a lot more fighting. There we go, that was clean. The enemies just, sometimes they like just get stuck behind the counter, not just, you know, move from it. Simply just get rid of a couple more enemies before we can move on. That's going to be the end of the supermarket. Alright, go to another quote-unquote vehicle section. Simply just pass by this trucker. Get on a shopping cart, and if you do activate Quicken, it does mess up the game a bit, as the game just doesn't, you know, normally allow you to move this fast in the shopping cart. You shall see in a bit, as like you clearly see, I'm just off screen right now. And there is supposed to be a truck chasing towards us, but you know, since I'm moving way too fast, you can't see it. As you can clearly see, I'm messing with the game. Simply wait for the truck to hit that brick wall. Now we are gonna fight him real quick. Now we simply just have to wait. And he's still alive. We shall see him later through on, as we shall meet him at the end of the construction site. Do some more. Another quick vehicle section. Just gonna be QTs on a skateboard. It also doesn't matter if you actually hit them or miss them. You don't lose any time. It's just more of like a section that we just simply have to do. And Quicken doesn't actually affect anything. I just like to put it on. And this is going to be the final QT before we're actually done with this. Do some more fighting real quick before we do some more skips. We are going to need to skip just not needing to hit that lever by doing that. We also need to bring any of these barrels to hit the lever. Simply just use our Sarmata so we can just hit it like that. Simply just walk through this screen. Before we're actually going to meet yet again. Because somehow by the time we meet him again, he somehow got infested. It's whatever. We shall see what he got infested with. Hit him once just so this is one of the couple of the two-phase bosses. There we go. You do just need to hit him once. And also just a forewarning, if you do decide to hit him before the cutscene happens, you can just soft lock your game. So I just highly recommend you don't do that. Now we're getting to easily the worst part of the game, as this part's just totally RNG. But since we're on the normal difficulty, it really doesn't matter. Right now we're simply just gonna do some instead of actually using those grenades to destroy the barricades. Just gonna keep on going through them all. And just a bit if we actually do see them. Well, we're simply just gonna hope that we don't get them. Alrighty, so these enemies just randomly spawn in. There's about 5 of them. One out of 5. 2 out of 5. We do use the freeze glitches. You do need to curb stomp them. Room. In normal mode, this really doesn't matter, as we can simply just do the freeze glitch. 3 out of 5. That's not the best of RNG. Hope that we just don't get them. We also do some minor optimization by not just hitting the levers there, as you can simply just make it to the other that you can equip that just simply give you minor things like, you know, more jumping height, more speed, or anarchy. And we do use that just so we can actually simply go on through before we actually make it to the club. Even though it may not look like this is once where Charlie and the band performed at before he got burned down by Phantom Paul. Simply just go through some spiders. This will last if we see them, as I don't like their creepy faces either. Somebody's gonna move on through the SWAT team that's here for whatever reason. Just run past some Minotaurs as well. Alrighty, I'm gonna go through this room. So it's basically be the end of this section. And just to explain on why normal saves so much more time than actually doing like a new game, is basically for normal we actually skip a majority of like the bosses, as there's a lot of one-time bosses in this. Here's our last vehicle section, sadly. We are going to use the glitch to our advantage, as we are going to have to defeat a boss real quick. He just randomly spawns on the right, so we just simply make sure that we can hit him. There we go. And what we were actually shooting down was the enemy band, and we shot their amazing heli van. As right now we're on the final part of the game, which is going to be the Live Devil amusement park, which the Battle of the Bands is taking place at. Simply wait for the cutscene to end. We're just going to throw this broom, so we don't need it, as it basically stops us from actually doing the uppercut movement. As there's only two endings, the true ending and the bad ending. We do true ending for all categories and runs, so that's what we're going to be doing. And right now we're in the final section of the game. Screens of enemies real quick. This shall be the first screen. There we go, that went very nice.
Hey Sindark, do you mind restarting your stream real quick to see if we can fix this lag? It's back on, right?
Yeah.
It's looking like it. Okay, go ahead and yeah, just go ahead and resume, and I'll transition in 3, 2. All right, we'll go with this and see how it works.
Alrighty, yeah.
Start whenever you're ready.
I didn't give a count on my B.
You're good. I also didn't give a countdown. Alright, alright, have fun.
Alright, thank you. So we just had to do a couple of platforming, as we basically just ran through the mouth of whatever this is, as there's going to just be some random spikes that did spawn in that section that we passed. Here's the second to last wave of enemies we do have to get rid of. Right now we're in the final set of enemies we do have to just kill. So we set set up more acid storms, you know, the usual. Oh, dang it. Yeah, sometimes enemies in the left side like to get stuck onto that bridge. Which is going to be the Angel of Chaos. And time shall end once his health is at 0. This is also a 3-phase, one of the phases, and time. Alright, that's Charlie Murder. Sorry for the connection issue, this normally doesn't happen. And yeah, that's the end of the run. Hope y'all enjoyed it.